Okay, today we're going to notch the Mookaite. So let's start. I said last night on the live stream I was going to notch this, so let's just do it. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. We might wing it if it doesn't go right or it doesn't go as expected. I usually like to do corner notches, but I might try something else. Let's see. The symmetry is a little bit off, so let's fix that first. Yeah, I will be narrating throughout this video. So this side is more rounded than that side. So let me take this off here. It's easier to do the symmetrizing before the notching. So I'll be driving notches in. I think I will do a corner notch. When I drive these notches inward, it should take away some of that lumpage right here. I did this on the live stream last night. So if you want to see how I did this point up until this stage, just watch the video from last night, the live stream. Okay. Where is my pad? I have one. Alright, there it is. Yeah, I'll do a corner notch. But I'm going to have to think about this. It's really thick. So what I'm going to try to do is run some thinning flakes first. Yeah. Alright, so this is not going to be narrow entry notching. So if that's what you are expecting, oh well. Yeah. I still need to make that tool that I was thinking of for the narrow entry notching. I'm going to be making a new tool, but I'm not going to show it yet. I'm still working on it. To make it easier for myself to do narrow entry notching, I have to make a new tool, because the tools I have now are not sufficient for narrow entry notching on a consistent basis. Right now I'm depending too much on luck for the narrow entry. So the new tool should help reduce the reliance on luck. Still in development. Yeah. See? All right. I made it elliptical instead of rounded. Let's see, I'm going to drive one flake in. All right. Which is going to require quite a hard hit. So I had to be careful to do it just right so I don't use too much force. Too much force at this stage can snap the whole thing in half. That almost went all the way. Here is the striking area. Hold on. See that? Get your angulometers out and measure that angle on the striking area. Still didn't reach all the way, but it's thinned down considerably. I should be able to notch it more easily now and take another flake off the other side. Yeah. Still had to be careful to use minimal force. think it did it. It broke off the front of that flake. Or the, I guess you call that the proximal end of that flake. It stepped and wanted to dive in. That's the hazard there. Let's see if I can pick that out. Okay. Is that good enough? No? Guess I could drive another flake this way. I have enough meat in there, but it's risking it. Yeah, I'm gonna take a flake here. So it's gonna mess up the symmetry, so we'll just have to readjust the symmetry. After I take a flake here, I'm gonna flip it over and take a flake over here. Yeah, it's got to be symmetrical in each direction. There's also a lump up here. I might just have to redo the edge over here too. Let's let me see. Let's take this one off first. This one will be easier as it's a shorter distance. And yeah, it messes with the symmetry and the edges and all that. It was already sharpened. All of this for notching, yeah. Because the thickness is changing and all that. Yes, the thickness and the overall shape. You just have to kind of go with the flow sometimes. They didn't take off enough. Let's see. One more flake. That didn't do anything. Running into problems. Yep. See, I don't want that to happen down here, though. This is easier to repair than if that would have happened here. Why would it happen? It's because I'm still learning the material, and I slept since yesterday, so I don't remember how hard I need to hit. Yeah, it's more tapered now. Okay, so I think I know how hard to hit. Okay. So all that just to get these notches thinned down. It starts to change the overall shape. So I'm just going to have to make changes here and there. for the symmetry and the overall look of the point. Yeah, okay. There. I'm not going to mess with that side again. Let's see. I see some spots I can thin down. Since I got to resharpen it anyway, let's try some thinning in the other areas. Well, nothing happened there. That's not good. Okay. I'm moving the edge now that way for these thinning flakes here. Hopefully only one is needed, but I think I may have to do more than one. And yeah, all this preparation just because of the notching. And I noticed, well, it's not only because of the notching. I noticed some thick areas, especially at the tip. It's still kind of thick on this side, but I'm going to leave it. I'll do some pressure flaking through there later. But yeah, I noticed there's a thick spot there. Near the tip. Okay, I want to get rid of this stuff and also make it thinner there. Let's see. Did I do it? Kind of, sort of. Not really. Dang it. Let's see. I don't have much opportunity because it's getting thin. So let's try a flake from the notch. Like I had to be careful and prepare the edge well. It's got to have good convexity and a good angle on the edge. You know, good convexity on the surface adjacent to the edge. And an edge that's not too delicate, where I'm going to take a flake. And I file it just like I was going to file this edge. I had to file this edge down here where I'm going to take a flake. Right in that notch area. And if I shoot a flake into this, it should clean that up a little bit. That's the theory. That's not too bad. That was a very hard hit. Yeah, I'm not going to push my luck. I think that's sufficient for the thinning. Yeah. A little bit of a step fracture, but I don't know. Let's see. I might be able to pick that out. No, I can pick a little bit, but it just doesn't look right if it's got too much of a jagged edge on it. I'll fix the tip. I'll make the tip thinner after I do the notching. Yeah. I could run a flake down in through there. Let's see. It'll bug me if I don't do it. Yeah, like that. Yeah, one step fracture leads to another. The cycle of doom. That's okay. Yeah, that's all right. Let's do the notching, okay? That's what you're here for. So now it's really thin. And down here also, it's thin, so it should be sufficient for notching. It's just a spatula-shaped tool. I should actually remove that burr. It tends to create a burr or a widening of the tip, so that has to be removed. If you remove that burr, if the flaker works better. Yeah, like that. I can crunch it in. Yeah. Just keep crunching and then resharpening and re-crunching or deburring and re-crunching and deburring and re-crunching. This lighter material is very crackly, so it may stall, but it doesn't feel all that bad. Yeah, I don't think it's going to stall. How much pressure am I using? I'm actually using quite a bit, but it's not going to break it because it's still fairly thick. Yeah, but I gotta make sure I don't increase the pressure on this all that much. That's one of those spirals of doom as well. The further you go in, the more pressure you might need as it gets thicker. That's the cycle of doom. You don't want to you don't want to use a lot of pressure toward the ending of the notching because it'll blow out the barbs or the ears. And yeah, I kind of grind off the delicate edge with the notching tool. And you can use a tool like this made of antler or bone, but it doesn't work all that well on tough material. So if you're using antler or bone, you've got to resharpen or repair the tool tip often and be very careful that you don't pull down too much and snap the whole thing. But with a steel tool, it allows you a very small area of pressure. It concentrates the force, and it removes flakes more easily with metal when you're using metal, because it concentrates the force in a smaller area. With a natural tool, the force is concentrated in a larger area, which requires more overall pressure. So if you're using natural tools, it's going to require a lot more practice. And a lot more failure, in my opinion. Some guys don't have an issue with that. This takes a lot of practice too. But overall, it's easier than with natural tools. Okay. So now it's just a matter of matching it up. I used to advise that it's best to do it equally on both sides. You know, a couple flakes here and a couple flakes there, a couple flakes here, and alternate and have them both advance at the same time. But I don't know if I'm getting lazy in my old age, or I just got sick of that technique. But I just like to drive one notch first and then the other nowadays. Or maybe there's just less failure because I have more practice. When you do it this way, when you drive one notch first and try to catch up with the other one, you got to make sure that the one that you're going to catch up with is on a thickness that's easier to notch. So this side is slightly thicker, I think. It's probably the same, but you know that the second attempt should be done on thinner material than the first attempt. There's always going to be one side that's thicker than the other, so you notch the thicker side first because that's the more difficult side, and you stop wherever you reach your limit with flint knapping skill on one side. Then the next side is you're going to have experience with the material and the notcher, plus an easier, thinner area. It should be successful in doing the second notch. With a little bit of foresight, you can really increase your chances of success by a lot. And I got to keep dressing this tooltip because it keeps getting worn down. And keeps creating a burr on that. I'm going to watch the thinness also. Make sure that stays thin enough so I don't bump up against the sides of the notch. This I don't have to worry about. I got a lot of room. But with a narrow notch, you got to worry about that. That thickness of the tool matters a lot. You don't want to hit the sides of the notch. Yeah, that's a good one. Good pop out. All right. Should be able to do a nice pop out on the other side too, without blowing out or blowing off this notch. If I push in the middle, it usually works well. Yeah, like that. Beauty. Come on. See? That's perfect.